Hey, on this episode of the Literate Nerds, I am joined by Adam McGovern and Stew Goldstein, and we will discuss the new Latina Wonder Girl from DC, the Snyder Cut trailer, and the Hammer vampire classic, Twins of Evil. Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Patrick Kennedy, and once again, we are the Literate Nerds. Tonight, my guests are my old dear friend, former roommate, former co-producer and co-director, and former co-worker. Originally, we met at B. Dalton Booksellers in Roosevelt Field in the early 90s, Mr. Stuart Goldstein.
Hello.
And how are you doing tonight, Stu?
I am well. I've been waiting all day for this.
All right, fantastic. It's so great to have you and great to talk to you as always. And my other guest is comic book historian, comic book writer, one of the driving forces behind High Lowbrow, my good friend Adam McGovern. Welcome tonight to the show, Adam. It's great to have you on.
Pleased to be here. Awesome.
All right, so our first segment we do is something that I call Near Mint to Poor Condition, where we talk about a news item or a couple of news items that are positive in the world of weird fandom and something that is negative in the world of weird fandom. I like to start off with the good news. You know, as always, I think it's a little bit easier to do it that way. So
that's great, Patrick, because I have some religious pamphlets with the good news that I might like to share with the listeners. They're in comic book form, as you know. So
yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Hopefully, is it a chick track?
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful.
You're a chick to they're a chicked.
I'm going to probably have to have you on again next week because we're going to be doing a tabletop role-playing game centric episode, and we're very likely going to be revisiting the Gary Gygax written Dungeons and Dragons module Tomb of Horrors, which is a classic. I don't know if either of you guys are familiar with it, but it's one of the great AD&D modules that's got awesome cover artwork by Jeff D. And it's one of the best things that Gygax ever wrote. But that's next week anyway.
And it has to do with your immortal soul. I wasn't sure how we veered from chick track to Gygax.
Oh, well, just because, Dungeons and Dragons, was notoriously targeted during the Satanic Panic.
True.
And
he is right. I mean, honestly, I gave up my soul to become a level 47 cleric. So, which is kind of ironic, really. But
you gave up your soul.
Well, not widely known. The dice that those Roman soldiers played at the foot of the crucified Lord, 15-sided.
What?
I just made that up, and I don't even know how many sides there really are to it.
The classic polyhedral gaming dice, as I have a set right in front of me, are what is referred to as the D20, D for dice, 20 for the number of sides, the D20, the D12, the D10, which is used in tandem with a second D10 to make a D100, the D8, the D6, which is the classic standard cube die, and the D4, which is very interestingly like a caltrop you would drop on the ground so your enemy would step on it. Anybody who thinks a Lego is bad to step on has never stepped on a D4, I can tell you that. And by the way, also, and I'll footnote this, if you want to hear a great podcast specifically about the Satanic Panic, there was a recent episode of Behind the Bastards with Robert Evans, which is one of the podcasts I listen to quite religiously that specifically covered the Satanic Panic. And it's a horrible time in American history, and ended up costing any number of people their freedom and some people their lives as well. But let's get on to some good news before we get back to bad news. So as it turns out, Oxford University has done a study on video games, and it would seem that they're actually good for your mental health. And this is actually a trend in psychological studies that's been going on for quite some time, and an argument that's been proposed quite some time by nerddom that's been generally ignored by the populace. I believe one of the statistics is, since the advent of first-person shooters in 1995, that violent crime rates have gone down in this country over 50%. So now, while causation is, correlation is not causation, it doesn't seem that video games contribute to violent crime. And according to this article, I got an article from Sci-Fi Wire that, of course, will be footnoted. And in the article, it says, according to a study conducted by researchers at Oxford who found that playing video games might actually be good for mental health, and that people who played more games tended to report greater well-being. The Guardian reports the study makes one of the first times researchers have worked with actual gameplay data that they were able to collect themselves rather than relying on subjects to report their own play times, as previous studies have done, a form of data collection that can often prove unreliable. The results and what they suggest are a far cry from how research conducted on video games is usually reported on, with many reports trying to draw connections between violent behavior and games themselves. According to Przybylowski, I believe is the way their name is pronounced, this particular one highlighted how little hard data there has actually been collected by previous studies looking into the potential benefits of or harms of gaming. So it shows that if you play 4 hours a day of Animal Crossing, this quote once again, you're a much happier human being, but that's only interesting because of all the other research before this is done so badly. So now, Stu, I know you're, or you were an avid video game player. Adam, you were a video gamer?
Not really past the arcade console era. Home screen, I've never been much beyond Pong. But I am interested to know if that researcher, Przybylowski, is the same one from The Wire, because I always hoped he'd have a happy ending. Pulled out by Animal Crossing, I can sleep better tonight.
Bravo for a Wire reference, which, yes, I do think is the greatest television show in history. Yeah, it seems, and they focused the study, they said, on 2 games, which were Animal Crossing, and of course I can't find
the other one was Plants vs. Zombies.
Yes, Plants vs. Zombies. Yes, was the other game. And it seems that it's a good way to blow off steam, and a good way to distract you from the troubles of the real world. Obviously, like any leisure activity, there's cases of addiction and obsessive play. I mean, we've certainly seen that in Korea. There's any number of people who have had serious health issues from playing video games habitually. But according to this, seems like it's actually a pretty decent thing to do to help your mental health and well-being. All right, so we're going to move on. The other good news
on that, Patrick.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yes, Dr. Patrick, I had just a question. I wonder, I couldn't tell from the article that you linked, but I wonder if any of the reactions that they were monitoring while people played the video games, I wonder what relation, if any, they had to dreaming, if it is that same kind of, subconscious cleansing function that dreams are supposed to have.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'll actually see if I can do some research after the recording, because this episode, we're recording on Tuesday night. The episode's probably going to hit Friday or Saturday. Just because my good friend Alex Tashane who edits and remasters it for me, isn't going to be available to do it any earlier than that, unfortunately. But I'll if I find anything relating to that, I'll add it to the footnotes, and of course I'll forward it to you.
It will be enlightening because while I am not, as I admitted, a big gamer, I am a mental patient. So it could come in handy.
Me as well. I actually just changed my medicine regimen, and it's working quite nicely.
Okay, cool. So you're not going to quickly, precipitously change from that new med to Animal Crossing? But
no, certainly not. I haven't played video games since NHL '96.
Honestly, the last video game that I played was Left 4 Dead 2, and it's a very simple game. If it moves, shoot it until it stops moving.
And that's cathartic for you, isn't it? Still?
Exactly, because I work retail again.
yes. I understand that. That's for sure. Okay, so moving on. There's actually 2 articles about this. One from the Mary Sue and one from Sci-Fi Wire. DC Comics is going to be introducing, DC Comics and DC Television are going to be introducing a new character that is going to be taking the Wonder Woman mantle, a Latina character, specifically Brazilian, named Yara Flor. And her background is that she is the daughter of an Amazonian warrior and a Brazilian river god, I believe. And now this character seems to be the first time that DC, I don't know if it's ever been done in comics. Well, I don't think this has ever been done. Where a character is being created and going to be introduced almost simultaneously in the comics and in an animated series.
I'm assuming the CW show is going to be live action.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Stu. You are correct. It looks like it's going to be a live action show, not an animated show. I was under the impression it was going to be animated. I apologize. I didn't realize it was going to be live action. But this looks really cool to me. The character design looks great.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't want to be petty, but anything that's going to piss off Comicsgate, I'm all for. Anything that's going to piss off the alt-right, I'm all for. And of course, them introducing a new character that doesn't fit their parameters of what comics are supposed to be about is definitely going to, get them upset, I'm sure.
I think pissing off Comicsgate is not pettiness, but patriotism.
This is true.
I'm going to give it a shot, definitely, because I really enjoy the CW shows and what they've done with that whole Arrowverse thing. With the exception of Batwoman. Batwoman, for some reason, just did not grab me. I gave it 16 episodes and then decided just no. But Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl are just absolutely charming. So I will definitely at least give the new... Can I call it Wonder Woman? I forgot what they were called.
Yeah, I believe it's being called Wonder Woman, yeah.
Okay.
Wonder Girl. I'm sorry, Wonder Girl. I apologize.
So,
she's not the new Wonder Woman. She's the new Wonder Girl.
So, if it's part of that universe, I'm definitely giving it a shot.
Yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to ask, because we were Adam and I were talking earlier that Adam, you thought that this character might be an extension of the Stan Lee Presents.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain because, as I admitted to you in the same conversation, I never made it past the first of those Stan Lee creating ... things that DC did back in whenever that was, late 90s, early 2000s. But I do remember that the version of Wonder Woman was somebody who maybe found some kind of artifact or, claimed a heritage belonging to South American deities. But, of course,